Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone joining. And welcome to the Agency Stories together with Sophie. And I'm Duco, your host of today. And from Channable side, we'll be presenting a webinar which we created by digital experts for agencies. The reason behind it is that Channable grew through the community and the power of the agencies who are the experts of working with Channable. Basically, what Channable does is we help you solve two main problems. One, you're either doing too much manual work and you're thinking about scaling up your team, or two, you're thinking about I should automate something in a different and smarter way. This is where Channable comes in, and especially throughout feed management, running your advertisement, or going to marketplaces. And Sophie will be telling you way more about this later on. And we'll go to the next slide, Sophie. Yeah, because today we'll be talking about the ultimate paid ads formula for peak moments. And there's a trend from 2023 to 2024, which Sophie will be talking about because she also shared insights last year. And especially in e-commerce, you'll see that you have lots of peak moments. So think about Black Friday, maybe the Christmas events, etc. Next slide, please, Sophie. So I'm your host today. I work a year for Channable now with the sales team. So I join a lot of sales calls with the e-commerce advertisers that we help, and also the agency side. And I worked in e-commerce myself for a few years in consultancy. So I know how important it is to have the basic technical setup in the right way so that you can then scale your activities, for example, on these peak moments. And I remember very much that every year in the beginning of like February, March, we were already working towards the peak moments of Black Friday or Christmas, stressing throughout the year. So it's very important to have these basics set up. And that's why we also invited Sophie, because she's the expert in this field. And I'd like to give you the stage, Sophie. If there's any questions in between, just put them in the chat. We'll be also running a few polls to help you think about the subjects that Sophie will touch upon. And then we're going to have fun together and learn. So thanks so much. And Sophie, go for it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Duco. Hello, everyone. My name is Sophie. And for those who cannot tell where my accent is from, I am actually French, but I've been working with Channable for about 6 months now, helping them throughout their webinars and also with my experience with my different clients. Because even though I am French, I lived overseas for so many years that I actually have clients that I'm managing ads for all over the world, including Europe and France. I've been doing ads for a very, very long time, and I'll probably spend about like 10 million altogether. I haven't counted it specifically, but it's probably as much as that or even more. I actually have no idea, but pretty high budgets. And also had the great chance to work throughout different companies, like anything from e-commerce to companies focused on lead generation or simply like awareness pieces. And yeah, I have about 10 years of experience as, like a marketer in general, but I think I started doing ads in like 2017 or something like that. So it's starting to, I'm starting to be like a boomer of the ads, really. Like, I've seen the platforms evolving. Yeah, no, really. I've seen the platform evolve and becoming like ever more complex, ever more changing, and also like evolving, because when I started, it was only Facebook, and now we have Instagram, TikTok. Facebook became Meta, and etc., etc. So I'm here today to help you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the question box, and we'll be sure to answer them. There will be some polls. Please answer them. That greatly helps us to understand like who you are, where you're coming from, how we can help you better in this webinar. Because even though we have slides, it's always really, really good, like to make it for you as you're here, not just for us. And in that spirit, I would really, really love to ask you, your first question is for you to tell me, how did you handle your peak moments in 2023, if you were following them? So your peak moments could be Black Friday, Christmas, but maybe your other black moments, peak moments, not black moments. For example, like Mother's Day, etc. So please let us know. And in the chat afterwards, if you can, please let us know where you're from or in which market you're evolving in. So maybe like the US, Europe, France, the Netherlands, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, we have about 70 people watching us now, Sophie, and the votes are coming in. We're
Yeah.
halfway there.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. Oh, that's super interesting. And it feels like you're watching a race and you're like, which one is going to come the first? So for now, okay, let's say.
Did you have an expectation on one of the answers, Sophie?
Yeah, I did actually, because I know how most of the marketers performed this year in Black Friday, like because the numbers were like crazy. So yeah, this actually like is very similar to what I was expecting. So we have kind of like two runner-up, and the two keep like racing each other up for first place. But we have people that I'm saying we have very similar experience than last year, about 30% of you, and another 30% more or less said that they had an amazing performance. So that's 60% of you that had really good performance for the peak moments of last year, which is really good. Congrats, because it's never easy. And about a small percentage of you said that they definitely needed some tips because it wasn't quite there yet. And another 20% said that they were a little disappointing. For those who said that it was a little disappointing, can you please tell us in the chat why it was disappointing? Because it was in like the number of sales, the AOV, average order value, because you didn't reach the same numbers as last year, etc. Please let us know.
Yeah, we got a quite diverse group too. I'm seeing lots of Frenchies, Sophie. So maybe
Is it
guessing
now? Hi, my Frenchies.
that's with your background. Belgium
today, but that's okay.
Hola España, and the Netherlands, UK, so all over Europe. Even Morocco joined today.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I have, I'm starting to get a lot of clients like in coaching actually, like based in Africa, because the African market is emerging as like a market to cater ads to, and it's super interesting to hear the stories and how the ads are working. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me and tell me about your experience with those based in Africa. Spain, France, Galicia. Oh, I love Galicia. One of my favorite places in the world. Awesome. All right, let's get started because we don't have that much time in front of us. Thank you, everyone. So as Duka said, today we'll be talking about how we can effectively prepare for 2024. So now we only have like maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes left maximum. So I won't be deep diving into very specific subject, but giving you a really good overview into like what you need to be really aware of and like the starting points where you can start to look at in terms of like, okay, how I need to prepare for 2024. Some of you might say that we are already in 24, and that's true, but also things are changing and evolving so fast at the moment that even though it's already end of January, like looking in 6 months, everything that I'm saying here could be completely different and or could be completely accurate. So we need to pay attention, and I'm going to give you tips on how to pay attention to those moments and pay attention on how to better perform for 2024. And of course, as I always say, is like the best way to perform is also to look back how you performed in 2023. What were your mistakes potentially? What were your successes? How you can build on those successes, and what happened for most of the advertisers out there, so you can compare yourself and benchmark from your own experiences here. All right, let's get started. So part one, we'll look back into what happened in Black Friday 2023. And like you say, why just Black Friday? Because it's a very important moment for e-marketers, media buyers, and e-commerces in general. This is probably where a lot of you make like a big chunk of your revenue. And also it's very telling of the rest of the year. And when I said the rest of the year, it's like 2023. And it's also very telling of like the state of e-commerce at the moment. And also because we don't have the numbers for Christmas just yet. So let's look back at Black Friday. All right. For those of you who are doing e-commerce and are following very closely the stats from Stripe and from Shopify, you know that this was yet another record year. In fact, it was even more of a more record year than last year, because we reached another 24% increase in gross revenue generated just on Shopify, and therefore some of it Stripe, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's huge. It's massive. And it was also very interesting because the shoppers were actually shopping differently from previous years. And I'm going to explain you this in a second. But what was more interesting is like, okay, it's great to see that Erong is doing well, but what about my own clients? And we can confidently say at Channable and my own clients as well, that we saw a very similar trend, and everything that we could read online about what happened in the peak moments of Black Friday, what happened last year, has been very similar to our experience, about 90% maybe of our clients.
Yeah, I'm sure you're curious, Sophie, what the audience has learned from the peak moment. So we have a quick poll on this.
Yeah. So yeah, what did you learn in your peak moments here? So for me, I guess
It's not an easy one. Huh?
yeah, I know. I want to tell all the first three. Okay, I managed to collect my first party data. Like I think this is where I'm heading with most of my clients here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the results. You've identified the best peak moments for the business is actually running up for 35% of you. And then I managed to collect first party data. I have really good marketers here. I'm very happy to hear this, as I will be talking about this in part 2. So pay attention and stay up until the end. It's going to be a very interesting year for first party data. Awesome. Okay, and then about another 30%, it's very even. Another 30% of you said that I learned a lot about my audience's behavior. Yes, which is always really good. Or like, you know, you constantly need to be learning and in touch with your customers. Like there's no other way of doing e-commerce well. All right. And 7% of you said I didn't analyze the results of my campaign. For those who say this, can you tell me why you didn't analyze? Is it because you didn't have time or didn't know how to? I'm actually very curious here. All right. In the meantime, let's keep going. Let's see what you say in the chat. Whoa. Where is the chat? Everyone. All right. So one of the things that were really interesting this year was the AOVs were lower. So those who don't know what AOVs are, it's average order value. For the Frenchies here, c'est le panier. And for the others, it's pretty much the value, like the middle value, the median value of your basket. How, like, on average, what is the purchase amount that people are spending in your store? And this is extremely interesting because it's very telltale. Like it actually tells a tale about how people are purchasing and how people are buying. And why they were lower? Well, very simply because people this year were a lot more focused on deals and going for like very specific deals, good deals, at least 30% off rather than other years, which actually isn't really surprising when we are like in a context with very high inflation and everything is a lot more expensive than it was a year ago. So Black Friday for people actually became an extremely good opportunity to buy items that they actually need for themselves, but at a lower price or at the price that they used to buy last year, for example. In all of my clients this year, if they didn't have a percentage above or at least 30%, this is where we saw that the results were a little bit lower and not as good as the other e-commerce. People were really looking for 30% off and more. And that means that if the percentage of the sale is higher, then that means that like your average order value is going to be lower as well. You know, it's just simple math here. It also means that people didn't necessarily buy more than what they needed to, which, you know, like for Black Friday, sometimes this is the e-commerce's or commerce's strategy, being like, okay, we're doing a sale, but people are going to buy more. Here, that means also that they didn't bought more than they needed to. So it means like they replenished their item, shopped for essentials, didn't use it for gifts, as you can see here. For the average conversion rate by vertical, you can see that the toys and games conversion rate is one of the lowest actually in the industry at 4.03% compared to the one, for example, in clothing, accessories and jewelry, beauty, which are all very personal items here. So again, very interesting. But what happened in the ads management? And what happened with the CPMs specifically? So for those who don't know, the CPMs are the cost per 1,000 views. And why this number is very important is because this actually tells us the amount of concurrence that we get on the social platforms, right? So the more concurrence and the more advertisers are spending money, the higher this number is going to get. Now, usually during Black Friday and the whole of like the last quarter of the year, this number is like 30 to 60% higher. What we've noticed in previous years is that this number is actually increasing every year. So compared to the rest of the year. So if, for example, if in 2023, we had on an average CPM of $5, then during Black Friday, it would be like 30 to 60% more. But maybe in 2024, we would be, no, sorry, but maybe in 2022, the average CPM was $4. So 30 to 60% was actually lower than 2023. And for the last 5 years, that was the case. Except this year's, the CPMs remain stable. Actually, we didn't see an increase like of the yearly CPM in 2023, which means that during Black Friday, those CPMs were actually lower or about the same than they were last year. And now you're asking me why. This is super weird. And it is really, really weird. And some of us did some digging and actually asked ourselves this question, why? And the simple answer is that you probably noticed that actually you're seeing a lot more ads, and I'm talking specifically about Meta here and TikTok, than you used to on your feed. And you're right, actually. That's because Meta and TikTok increase the number of ads that you're seeing per post or per seconds, depending on like which platform you are, rather than what we had in 2022. So what happened is like in 2023, the CPMs were on average actually lower or the same price than on 2022, which means that on Black Friday, the CPMs didn't rise up. Now, it's great because it means that we're reaching more people for the same amount of money. But it's bad because it means that the attention that people can pay to our ads is a lot lower than it used to be, simply because they're seeing more ads. So that was definitely a challenge this year, for which we needed to be prepared. And I hope you were prepared as well, like, you know, to focus on your ads and to focus on your creatives, because that was definitely something to experience for advertisers here, like to reach more and to have to work more to get your consumers' attention. And to get your consumers' attention, it's actually super simple as an ad with a big sale banner. This is usually a bit of a fight that I have with my clients. And it's quite interesting because they're like, no, we're going to do something great. And I want something very branded and very fun. And then poop, at the end, we say 30% off. And I'm like, actually, no, it doesn't work. It works the rest of the year. It works for Mother's Day, maybe. It works for like in the middle of, I don't know, January. It works for any period of the year where consumers are looking to connect with a brand. But Black Friday, consumers are looking for a sale. And remember what I said in the previous slides is that people were looking for a sale here. So if you're creative, like the one that I'm showing you here, didn't show exactly what the consumer were looking for, meaning the percentage off your product, then you were missing out. Because this is what people were actually looking for, not connection with a brand, not an experience necessarily, but your product with a lower price tag. Another thing that I keep telling to my clients is that, okay, Black Friday is great, but there's also like a sentiment, like a strong negative sentiments around Black Friday. So you should always keep running what I call you evergreen ads and some of your non-sale product alongside. It kind of like helps mix and match the ads that you're showing your consumer. Also helps the algorithm stay stable during the period where it's very up and down. And it helps also your ROAS in general and your return on investments, I found. But that depends on your account, of course. All right. That was a lot. Before I move any further, do you have any questions? If you have questions, please put them in a chat, put them in a question tab. I will answer to them. One last thing about ads management this year and what was really different. If you're running ads, especially on Meta and on Google, you know that AI is taking a lot more space than it used to be before. For example, this year, Meta rolled out Shopping Advantage Plus and Google rolled out PM Max. These campaigns are AI-led campaigns, meaning that you actually have very little control into the targeting, how your ad is shown, the placements, even sometimes the creative as well. And, like at first, honestly, it didn't work really well for my clients. And I was very reticent to use it. I was like, oh, I do not trust Meta, maybe a little bit Google, but I certainly do not trust Meta to do this right. And I was proven wrong. The month after they rolled it out, I've actually started testing it and noticed that my performance were a lot better using those type of campaigns than using let's say the traditional type of setup. And actually my clients and the clients on Channable that performed well were the ones that actually took advantage of those new type of campaigns in their strategies. And that was extremely interesting to see that those clients performed better and those campaigns performed better as well. So if you haven't yet tested them, if you haven't yet used them, please do so. Do not be afraid. One thing though, where we got great results is where we use those campaigns way before Black Friday and way before the peak moments, because those type of campaign actually need quite a bit of warm-up time compared to other type of campaigns. And it's logical because we're less targeted, because the algorithm needs a lot more time to learn by itself. Then it means that it needs a lot more time to warm up. So it's not like the 3 or 4 days usual that we can see on Meta and maybe the 14 days that we can see on Google. It needs more time than this. Start with a low budget, and then on your peak months, raise up the budget by 50%. I swear to you, it works. But if you didn't do this before, then your performance were definitely not as good here. So yeah, this is what I was saying. You need, and this is this actually comes back to the previous webinar that we did just before, or a few weeks before Black Friday with Channable again, which is available on replay if you want to on the Channable website. You need to be prepared. And for any peak moments, for anything related to your business, anything related to ads, you need a few weeks, or even if you're spending a lot of money, a few months to prepare for these peak moments. Prepare your content in advance, test them, prepare the type of campaigns that you're going to run, test them, see what works for your website, make sure all your tracking is in place, etc., etc. And this is the only way to really perform in these like peak times and peak moments. Okay, please tell me you have questions.
There are a few, Sophie. Yes. We have Kaola, who's asking if Meta ads are more powerful than the others that you mentioned.
What do you mean by more powerful? Can you be a little bit more specific? Hold on, I'm just gonna look at the chat. So you're saying that Meta ads are more powerful than the other? Sorry. No, not at all. Not at all. I think I'll talk a lot about Meta because this is definitely the platform that I personally use the most, alongside with Google. But what I would say is like there's not one more powerful for you than the one that your audience is in. So let's just say your target audience is teens or like young adults, like 18, 19, 20, 25-year-olds. Then Snapchat should be your main social media, not Meta, or maybe a little bit Instagram. If your business like local business, maybe Google should be your main platform. Like it really depends to your audience. There's not one in general that is better than another. It's related to your audience and your strategy to reach them.
Yeah.
So for you, what's the best way Jan Kevin is asking, what's the best way to start a Google account for an Ecom with standard shopping or PM Max? I'm going to be very honest. I don't know, because changes are happening so fast right now that sometimes I see accounts, some of my clients' accounts start up really well with PM Max, and some others don't. Some others start up really well with standard shopping, and some others don't. I'd say if you can, test both and see what happens and optimize based on performance. Like it's really hard. Like Google and Meta right now are gunning so hard for AI and AI-led campaigns that, like what I'm saying right now could be completely false in 1 month. So just keep learning and test for yourself.
Yes, and use the data then that you have. at hand
Exactly.
to pivot. Yeah. All right. We have another question from Cyril. What share of budget is performing best for Meta AI campaigns?
Hmm. You need to spend a bit more. You like in this type of campaigns, I found that before I would always say, okay, if you really don't have a budget and your audience is small, because you could control the audience in like traditional campaign, you could start with like 30, 40 euros or dollar a day. Nowadays, with Shopping Advantage Plus campaign, I'd say it's a minimum of 60 to 70 a day, just because the audience is so much larger. The algorithm actually needs a lot more power to run properly and smoothly. So minimum 70 euros or dollar a day. If you can push it to 100, that would be great. But 70 is a good start already.
Awesome. Cyril, let us know if that is a good answer for you. And then a follow-up question from Jose. Do you discourage the use of videos for ads during those peak moments? Or is it better to use image creatives like the one you showed?
Yes and no. If your video is very simple and straight to the point, there is a really good chance that this video is going to work better than your static image. But if your videos are not straight to the point and there are too much storytelling to it, which is really weird to say, I know, then your image is going to perform better. It's all about how the content is displayed. Is it clear? Is it fast? Is it easily understandable? And is it attractive to your consumer or customer? All right. So there's a question in French. Thibaut, I
Yes,
can't speak in
please help me
French
out.
here. Okay, I'll translate it in live. Don't you think it's become extremely complex to analyze audiences since the GDPR rules came into place? Do you have solutions about this? Well, I'll talk about this in the second part. And if I didn't answer your question quite specifically, Thibaut, please re-ask your question afterwards. I'll come back to it. All right, let's keep moving because time is ticking.
Yes.
I have a few case studies for you, and I hope they will be interesting. Unfortunately, I cannot mention the name of the clients that I'm talking about, but I can tell you in which industry they're in. And if you have more questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn after or via email. No problem at all. But case study number one, I've actually had clients that wanted to launch a product during Black Friday. And that was not definitely my first choice, but sometimes retail has moments that the paid just has to follow. And that was a few of these cases. And so we went along. What happened? 3 of my clients were launching products. One was skincare. Another one was supplements. And another one was, I'd say, luxury skincare. And the first one was skincare, but non-luxury, like more like good price point. So what was really interesting is like the CPMs were rather high because it's Black Friday, but the engagement was actually really high too. So interestingly, I guess because we were talking about something different, about a new product, something new and exciting, maybe the people that weren't looking necessarily to buy a Black Friday became interested and had more attention power on this type of ads than the sales. So that was definitely interesting. And because we had a high engagement, the CPCs remained stable as well, which means that at the end of the day, our CPCs were almost lower for the period. So we had more traffic to the website than we thought we would have. So that was good. And also, because of the period, whenever we were trying smaller audiences, more targeted, because we were launching a product, like I had to test audiences, not going larger first. Well, actually, I was wrong. Like those were the larger audiences, like the broad, like 18 to 65, kid you not, were the one working the best. So very interesting here. Another extremely interesting metric is that it actually worked. And I was actually extremely surprised. So for product A, which was the skincare with the really good price point, like think, which would be similar? Think La Roche-Posay for the French ones, or think Avène, maybe in English. Same price point, maybe a little bit lower, but same quality. And the other brand, the C brand, was actually supplements for hair loss. We actually recorded a 40% increase in in-store sales for this product during the campaign that happened just before and kind of like during Black Friday. Incredible. It worked really well. I was actually really interested here. But whilst we had extremely good results online for the luxury skincare brand, we had extremely poor in-store conversion. And I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like people were looking to replenish items that they are actually using on an everyday basis or purchasing supplements for themselves, etc. We didn't necessarily do a sale here. There was a launch. There was no sale. But the luxury skincare product, that was a new launch. I think it was a lot to ask for people to buy this product when they didn't know it and there wasn't a sale on it and it was in the middle of Black Friday and it's actually quite an expensive product. So it didn't work. Clearly, that wasn't my choice. The client has some constraints about when this campaign would be launched. And unfortunately, it happened to be during the Black Friday. But if you're in this case, if you have a luxury skincare brand, if you have that you're launching in France or anywhere else, I do not recommend to do this because, as we predicted, the in-store sales were really low and very disappointing for the client here. Okay, case study number 2, Ecom performances. So those were like awareness type of like word of mouth type of campaign. And also here I have Ecom performance for you. So 2 brands, one in France, that is kind of new, but not super new, but still with a good client base. And one in the USA that is super niche. Like think about in the smoke cannabis industry type of thing. And then in France, skincare, not luxury, but nice skincare. Both had an extremely limited time for the sale, meaning that we didn't drag it out for months or for the whole month. It was the sale is going to happen at this date. Usually, I think it was the beginning of the week of the Black Friday and then stop maybe the Tuesday, like I think it's Cyber Tuesday or Giving Tuesday or something like that. So like maybe 10 days. They both use the 3 key channels in the middle. So personally, I was managing all the ads, but we had influence and we had a really good email strategy that we worked on for this whole period that started before Black Friday, during, and after. We had a high sale tag, so at least 30% off, as some of the products on both websites would up to 70% off, so that was very attracting. And we had clearly marked sale on all of our ads, whether it be videos, carousels, or static. And we achieved on both brands a 30% year-over-year increase in sales and in revenue this year, which was actually incredible. Like, you know, it's not necessarily something that we achieve as marketer. You know, we're not a miracle maker, right? Like we work with what we have, and sometimes the consumer takes, sometimes it doesn't. So that was actually really, really cool to see that all the steps that we went through and all the preparation that we went through actually paid off here. And we even have on one of those brands, and the skincare one, I think the day of Black Friday, we reached an astonishing rise of 7. So it means for every $1 that we spent on this campaign, on the paid campaign, and I'm just talking about the paid campaign because then we had the influence and the emails, we had a return on investment of 7, which is huge, actually, even for Black Friday. So why I'm talking about those case studies is to show you that with a little bit of preparation, anything is possible. With a little bit of research into your audience, with a little bit of like strategy putting in place, this year, actually, you could reach out really good results for your brand. And if that isn't like something to consider for 2024, then I don't know exactly know what it is. But prepare yourself, because 2024 is going to be a roller coaster. And I'll talk about this in just a sec. All right, do we have any questions about those case studies and going forward? Do we have any polls at the moment, or is it later, the call?
In the next slide, we will be asking the audience what best performing peak moments they see for their business. So we can fire it up in a second, but we do in the meantime have a question again from Paula. And they're questioning, could you advise them how to gain an audience if you're new, so probably launching a new business or a new product, for a new audience.
Um, First of all, do not rely only on paid marketing, because it's going to be way too expensive for you to be able to launch yourself unless you raised $1 million with VCs or whatnot. Then go ahead, do a lot of ads. But if it's not the case, and if you're still like a startup, building company, building your product and building your community, then I'd say dive into content, create really good, very interesting content, reach out to people in your community and within the realm in which you evolve. For example, the skincare brand that I was talking just before, they put themselves as not only a skincare provider but also like holistic health. So they provide as well like skincare product but in care product. So like supplements, etc., to have like a kind of like really good cycle here with your health and with your skin problems, which means that they position themselves as experts on the field. And they've done, to launch their brands, that was before I came on, but what they've done is that they've done a lot of like ebooks, a lot of cheat sheets explaining how to detoxify your body and how this will help your skin get better, especially if you have hormonal problems, etc. So I'd say start with really good content, and once you have this really good content, then you can start doing a little bit of ads to supplement the reach. So maybe like a campaign of like a profile visit on Instagram, where you push one of your carousel or like informative posts that works the best. That would be where I would start. And then, of course, once you start getting a little bit of traffic on your website, you can start with conversion ads.
All right. So don't start throwing money at it from the start. First, build up content for your audience, and then see if you can lure them in with ads.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. All right. There's no other questions, so I suggest we just hop into the next poll about the peak moments for everyone's business.
All right.
Very curious what you've seen across the board, Sophie.
Okay, I want to see. So I'm submitting my vote and I'm looking at the poll. All right, very interesting. Oh my God, such a race. Okay, so we have a race between the promo sales and the Black Friday right now. So about 41% or 40% of you sales that the promo sales are the peak moments of 2023 here, and Black Friday comes right next. Actually, Black Friday is catching up. Christmas as well, 26%. And some of you says Valentine's Day. Yeah.
And all the mothers and fathers are not really getting anything.
No, yeah, I'm surprised actually. Nothing.
Have you seen that? Have you seen these peak moments for different businesses?
Me?
Yeah.
So because I have a lot of clients in the skincare space, actually January is a big moment for us, because this is the moment where people take their resolutions. They're like, oh yeah, this year I want to work on myself. And so anything that has to do with skincare, supplements, sports, like general wellness is actually a really peak moment for this type of brands. And then I have clients in the outdoor space or apparel. So very big moment once we start reaching into spring. Oh, I have clients in the gardening business. So I said, like right now, at about a month or two, we're going to be in peak season for them. And it lasts like March, April, May, even June. And it's like, like I think most of their revenue is done during that time. So again, it really depends on your product and your audience.
Yep. In the meantime, there's also a question from Esme. In her experience, Q4 peak starts during Black Friday and stays until the week before Christmas. How do you experience this, Sophie?
Yeah, pretty much the same for me. So I'm talking mainly about Black Friday because I couldn't find at the time when we created this presentation for you much data about Christmas just yet. It was just a bit too early, I guess. Maybe now or in the next few weeks, we're going to be seeing more about how Christmas performed this year. But yes, for sure. The week before Black Friday, even the couple of weeks before Black Friday, I can definitely see like the trend going up. And the week before, or I'd say not even the week, but the 5 days before Christmas, depends on which country you're in, because this is the cutoff date for the parcels to reach people's home before Christmas. So that's actually a cutoff date. Usually pretty much I'm on holiday around the 20th, which is always really good. I have a few days before Christmas to relax after the craziness of Q4. So that's really good. All right.
All right. Well, you just mentioned January and Father's Day coming up, Valentine's Day. So how can people prepare for 2024?
Yes, let's go. So how we can prepare for 2024 again. I will say this again, and I think the people in your audience will start to think that I'm an old person, just repeating myself. But I can't stress enough how important this is. Preparation is key. All my brands that had the time, my clients that actually took this very seriously and listened and were like, okay, we're gonna prepare for it in advance. Hell, I even have some clients with whom we spend a lot of money. But we started preparing for Black Friday in August of a period, because it's a quiet period and because we have more time usually, and we could brainstorm some ideas about content and how we're going to do this, etc. Preparation is key. And especially this year, when so many things are about to change. And if you're prepared for them, then you're going to have a great 2024. But if you're not, then you will be missing out. And this time is very much on our side, not so much on like strategies, but also changes into how data is processed, how campaign management works, how content is created. Anyway, how prepared are you for 2024? I actually want to know. I think we have a poll about this, right?
We don't have a specific poll on 2024, but we can ask people in the chat
Yes.
to give us a number or a feeling about how prepared they feel for 2024.
Yeah, I want to know. Please let us know in the chat. I'm very curious. Maybe I'll let you answer and then we come back to this.
Yeah.
Oh, people like typing. All right. So when I say prepared, what do I mean? I mean your general strategy, your why, who, when, how, why you're doing a sale, when you're doing it, like what type of editorial are you having every month or every 3 months, like what type of like content are you creating for your audience to engage in, etc. Your paid strategy, of course, because this is one of our main subjects here. I have a lot of not a lot, but I have some clients, especially at the beginning when they work with me, that say, "Oh, I don't really have a budget. If you're bringing in good ROAS, then I increase the budget. If the ROAS is bad, then we decrease the budget." I'm like, no, this is not how it works. First of all, there should always be some evergreen campaigns that run throughout the year. And second of all, I need the budget to prepare for those peak moments. So if your ads manager or your media buyer is telling you I need a budget, is because that helps them to prepare the strategy as best as they can for the peak moments. Because having $2,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 or $500,000 for the period, you're going to run ads completely differently. I know it's hard to predict, especially for small businesses, how much money you will be able to spend, but maybe give them like a range. So for peak moment number 2 of the year, tell your media buyer, or you can have between 2,000 to 5,000, or you can have between 100 to 200,000, and then we'll decide closer to the date exactly what that budget looks like, and then they can plan for it. Email marketing and influence. For me, there are no e-commerce that perform really well and makes really, really good return on investment if they do not have at least a secondary or a third channel running alongside their paid strategy. You need like a 360 marketing strategy here to be able to truly perform, stay in people's minds, and actually going for the sale here. But what you really need to be prepared for 2024, alongside the very obvious, is to prepare for AI ads management. So I did talk a little bit about it in the previous slides, how that, they were performing the best, and, And I was surprised, and you needed to be prepared, etc. For those who haven't started experimenting with those type of campaigns, like Max and Shopping Advantage Plus, I really truly encourage you to do it now, because as a media buyer, the experience of running those ads are completely different. And it's different not only running those ads, but also launching your content on it, and your customer experience and your reporting. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. First of all, because with this campaign, you have little to no control. And there are some controversy around this. For example, I have some clients that caters exclusively only to women. This is like, maybe transgender men, but women only. And the thing is, like, in those campaigns, sometimes it's really hard, especially on Meta, to say to Meta, do not deliver this ad to men, deliver this ad to women. Sometimes, like not sometimes, like in certain cases, in the way you create your ad, you actually cannot exactly, completely, 100% exclude men. So what happens, right? How does it work? Like, do you not run this campaign because you cannot exclude men, or you still run it because you know it's going to perform better, and too bad for the men that actually see those ads? You need to ask yourself this question. It's not an easy answer. It's not a straight answer, but it can be complicated. Also about content. Meta wants to change your content, and it's harder and harder to forbid or stop Meta and also PMX to touch your content. It actually drives me nuts, because I'm work with some brands for which the brand image is extremely important, and just the slight variation in color that Meta or filter that Meta can apply on your ads can actually kind of, in their eyes, ruin this brand image. So how do you deal with that? Are you okay with a little bit of like change from Meta if the performance is increasing or not? And also finally, because PMX, Shopping Advantage Plus, and as soon as something similar is rolled out on TikTok, X, Twitter, etc., you have little control about which audience you're touching. Is it retargeting? Is it cold audiences? Is it someone that is in the consideration phase? Is it someone that already bought and is interested in purchasing again? You have literally no control about which audience you're touching. It's all together in the same buckets, and then you get sales, and it's up to you to realize what you're doing. So it means that like running this type of AI campaign will change the way you're doing your reporting. It's not going to be. I remember when I started doing ads, we had like a report line for every product, every ad that we've shown. It's not possible anymore. So you need to change that. Data privacy, and I was just talking a little bit, just one last thing about AI. Whether you want it or not, this is going to happen. Meta and Google and soon the other platforms are rolling out AI-led campaign, and you have less and less and less choice there. So you have absolutely 100% to start using them, because otherwise you won't know how to run ads anymore. And I want to know what's happening with the poll. And I'm using ads, obviously, here. Okay. So, okay, most of you, like 45% of you started testing it. So that's really good.
We even have a few who are very confident already saying they're a pro at it.
That's really good. Okay, great. Awesome. If you haven't, please do it now, like tomorrow, today. You have no choice, literally. It's like how the platforms are going. And you have no choice because the data privacy laws actually are getting tighter and tighter. So for those who are in Europe here, you all know about the GDPRs and the cookies and how annoying that was when this was rolled out. Everywhere in the planet, we have iOS 14 and then ITP, and then Safari decided to block all first-party data, and then Mail. And now, since January the 4th, 1% of all of Chrome users, actually, their data is no longer sent to the platforms like Meta, TikTok, Google, etc. What happens? Which means that those platforms are getting less and less data, or differently. We don't know exactly yet what's going to happen. Our theory is that the data will still be sent, but completely anonymized and completely randomized and algorithm and like with an algorithm. So pretty much you'll have an idea what happened, but it's never going to be exactly what happened. That makes sense, which is kind of already the case, but like this is going to be worse. Like you're going to have an idea what happened, not exactly what happened with your consumer after they leave Meta or Google, etc. Which means that you have to come back to the basics. And the basics are the first-party data. First-party data is the emails, the phone numbers, maybe even messages, like DMs on social media, perhaps that could work. And you need to start collecting it. Not only you need to start collecting it, but you need to start entrusting your consumer to give you this information. Because no one wants to give it freely. You need to actually make it into a game, or you need to make it so interesting that for your consumer that they want to give you this information. Up to you and how this is going to work. Then second, connect your APIs. If it's not done yet, connect Google API, Meta with an API, soon TikTok with an API, etc. If it's not yet, please do it, because the pixel won't be sending any information anymore. You cannot rely on just pixels. And again, changing the way you do your reporting. You can't report like you did before. Just do your general reporting. This is what we spend. This is the action. This is the RAS. It's okay. You're not going to die from it. Content creation. I talk about AI-led campaigns, but of course, this year, AI content creation is taking a huge leap. For those who are in France, there is this YouTuber called Shubham Sharma that actually created half of his video using AI. And I kid you not, you cannot tell the difference between a video that is his AI avatar and his real image. So what does it mean is like in a case study that I have just before, but I don't know if we'll have the time to go through it. I'm actually I have created an avatar of one of my clients because I need her to talk. This is a skincare product and where they are like experts. And what I do with her is that I have an avatar of her, and whenever I need a new video where she says something specific, then I just run into HeyGen, create the video, and then I have the video. I no longer need her to create the video for me. What that means is like, if I have access to this, other marketers have access to this, it means that for brands, it's no longer difficult to create good quality content. So it means that people are going to be able to reiterate and to create content a lot faster than they used to be, which means that if you're not yourself creating content and creating and testing content and testing different things faster and better using AI to support those efforts, you're going to miss out, because other marketers will understand the power of this and do it for you. So if you're not already using AI for your content creation, you're missing out not only on an incredible tool to help you sell your product, but also missing out on your performance here, or your future performance. Questions about that?
There's no questions yet about AI specifically, but Esme did ask before if you make special content for the Advantage Plus ads of Meta, or do you just add the pictures and videos and text to create them yourself? And she's very curious, how much freedom do you then give to Meta?
On some brands I do. Some brands I have to, but I don't like doing this. I feel like it hinders the performance, and Meta doesn't like it. What I do for now is that for my clients that are very specific on content and how it is displayed, I cut off as much as Meta's visual optimization as I can. But no, not specifically, because if an ad is working in like AI-led campaign, then it works in another type of campaign, right? Like it's like the audience is reached out the same, but it's just, no, not necessarily. I don't recommend doing this, but if you really have to, do it, but I don't recommend it. All right. Any other questions?
I see Kaulo is typing, but maybe in the meantime we can keep going and then ask ask her later.
Case study number 1. What I was saying earlier, how we're able to put content a lot faster than before. So a couple of weeks ago, France and I think Netherlands and the whole of Northern Europe actually experienced like a lot of cold and a kind of like snowstorms. So what we did is that we adapted our content. This is for gardening tools brand that I'm helping ads or managing ads for. What we did is like we just took a picture, added snow to it, and changed the product. So you're not seeing the product change here because I couldn't find the exact image, but this was done with AI. This actually was done with the AI integrated into Adobe. So this was not me doing it, but this was my graphic designer. I could put this larger. You would not be able to tell whether this was an AI generated image or not. It works super duper well. Another case studies is video editing and enacting, and I already talked about this a little bit. This is my client. This is her avatar that I had her create in a very similar way than in the video that this YouTuber did. Used HeyGen. I used a HeyGen to create an avatar, and then used another AI tool to synthesize her voice. And now whenever I need a new video, like to talk about a product, or because I want to test a new first sentence, like a sentence to capture the attention within a video, all I need to do is to log into HeyGen, write the sentence, connect HeyGen with the voice synthesizer, and then I have my video. And no longer I need to wait for my client, send her an email being like, hey, can you do this for me? You okay? And then she records it, and then I have to edit it, and then I have to launch it. Now it takes me, I don't know, not even a quarter of the time. So if you're not doing this already, please test it and do it. And you'll get the presentation afterwards, this webinar. And I put the link here. It's in French, but I think if you put the subtitles, they can be in English here. So that's it for me for today. And we're almost on time and we'll have time for questions. I'm very proud of myself. Please ask away.
Yeah, so there's at least one question coming in. Carla's wondering, if you start a digital marketing agency or want to start one, how can you create original content for your audience?
So I'm a freelancer, and I'm very happy to be a freelancer for many reasons. But I have a collective with who I work, and people that I work with. This pretty much acts like an agency. If you want information, just find me on LinkedIn. And what was the second question?
How to create original content. That was the main question that she asked. And otherwise, I would ask her to type additional info if needed.
Yeah, that's a very large question. Like, I think, I think people sometimes are dumbstruck onto, I need to create something amazing and new that no one has ever seen, to perform. The truth of the matter is like throughout the human history, where it always has been about recycling all ideas with a new flavor. Like pretty much ice cream has always been the same. It's like ice cream, right? But now we get like crazy, like cookie flavor. And, maybe before the cookie flavor didn't exist, like it was just vanilla and chocolate. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's new and exciting, but still an old idea. What I can tell you, and this is actually one of the things that I'm going to talk about in the next TikTok video, is about how, and I may be helping you, is like how now we're shifting away from those very big sell amazing product, like strong worded ads, strong worded like content, towards more of like a more gentle, informative content. People nowadays, especially in the skincare, and because I work a lot in this, but want information. They want knowledge about how they can best use your product and why your product is the best, rather than just telling them it is the best. They expect you to explain to you why it is the best. And I find that the clients that really take this seriously, such as the famous skincare brand with that person here, this is the owner, works a lot better than the brands who just want to sell the product without explaining their processes, why they're better. Actually, if you want to see another really good case studies on that, there is the brand called Yepoda, and they're doing crazy, really good ads. And for me, it's like perfect like case study on TikTok and on Meta. And their ads is like, yes, there is a sale, but they explain their processes, why they're better, etc. So Yepoda is Yepoda. And you can look up their ads, or the content on TikTok, and especially, and it's very simple to do. It's actually not super, like the quality of it is not super high, but it actually delivers the message really well. That was a long answer. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, follow-up question from Kim, specifically for AI-generated content, like the avatar you just showed for that brand. Maybe in terms of control, and AI generates things themselves. Yeah. She's wondering, could it potentially ruin or influence the reputation of a brand or a person even?
Yeah, so actually this is, like the big debate that we're having at the moment. So I'm literally having heated conversation with some of my clients because of this, because sometimes they're like, Sophie, we just saw ads on social media. What the this is not good, right? And I'm like, all I can say is sorry. Trying to block it from Meta, and it still happens. I think nowadays, as a marketer, you need to actually have this conversation with your clients or with yourself and your team, being like, there are some things that I will be able to control and others that I won't be able to control. And as for the fear that, like AI generated content might misinform or ruin the reputation of someone or a brand, that's a reality that we're going to have to live with, actually. Like there was recently like AI generated videos of Rishi Sunak, I think is the Prime Minister of England, of the United Kingdom, that people couldn't tell if it was AI generated, real or not, which actually was detrimental to his campaign. I don't have the answer to this. This is beyond my pay grade, beyond my knowledge, but all I can tell is that the next few years are going to be very interesting in terms of like reputation and image.
Yeah, you do, however, motivate and encourage everyone to keep trying and experimenting, even though you don't always have this control.
Yeah, because you cannot control or even respond well to something you do not understand. And I think the world is going to be divided into people who understand how AI works and how they can use it to better their lives, and people who refuses to jump on the bandwagon. And for me, this revolution that is happening now is as big as the internet coming up. The internet in the 90s. Some people literally wrote lengthy articles about how the internet is bad and will never take on, and people not going to use it, or it's going to ruin people's life. Well, nowadays, I literally cannot live without the internet. Most of the world wouldn't be able to run without the internet. And AI, it's going to be the same thing. It's already starting. So you need to jump on that bandwagon or just missing out.
As simple as that. Change then, yeah. Maybe a final question then before we wrap it up. Jose is wondering, how often would you recommend renewing creatives in ongoing campaigns?
Yes, 1 to 2 months. Have a look at your click-through rates. If you see that your click-through rates are starting to decrease or decline, then it's the time to change them. But also that depends on the type of platforms. Obviously, on Google it's different because it's like display and PMX and etc. It's less so because it's more like product showing. But if you are displaying ads on YouTube, maybe 1 month, 2 months will be the maximum. But on TikTok, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. TikTok life shelf of content is a lot shorter than other platforms here.
All right. Thanks so much for answering that final question. Then we're going to wrap it up. Sophie, thank you so much for hosting and sharing all your knowledge. Thanks everyone in the chat for the interactivity. Jose is also giving praise. I see many people typing. We will send out the recording in about a week. And we also touched upon AI a lot. And that is also the second topic for our webinar series, which will be launched in February. So stay inspired, everyone, and see you in the next episode as we tackle the challenges of multi-channel e-commerce together.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you for coming in. Awesome. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks, Duco. Bye.